Moment. This program is coming to you from the stable of Living Television Abia in southeast Nigeria. I'm your regular host, Chimezie Ozems. This is a special edition of the program in the sense that today we are celebrating the 31 years of the creation of Abia State. Abia State was created on 27th August 1991 by the military regime of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. Abia State was carved out from the old Imo State. How has Abia fared after 31 years of existence? That is going to be our talking point on today's edition of our program. And I have two discussants in the studio who are going to join me in examining how far we have done as one of the states in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On my far left is the Reverend Ihechiloro Obike. He is a clergyman. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
I also have in the studio this morning a regular contributor. He is Professor Chinedum Adiele. Professor Adiele is a public affairs analyst. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Moderator and viewers are welcome.
Let me start with you, the Reverend Obike. The first question I'm going to ask is, I want you to give me an assessment of Abia State after 31 years.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zems. After 31 years, the journey so far, I remember when Abia was carved out, there was a mass jubilation, and we claimed Abia was going from the scripture, the only state in Nigeria that has its name derived from the scripture, and that was why it was called God's own state. After 31 years, of course, when we are rating a state, we should rate the state with some parameters. Looking at Abia, where we are now, infrastructure-wise, looking at it from economic point of view, looking at it from power, looking at it from political aspect and leadership, I think the only place I will rate Abia a bit high is security-wise, because some years back, especially in the era of kidnapping, and the rest of them, Abia was rated the worst state with respect to kidnapping and insecurity. But now there seems to be an improvement in that area. Even though it's not 100% eradicated, but largely I could say that Abia is safer now than it used to be. When we look at other areas, I want to think that we have not done well. Look at infrastructure, for instance. Some of the states in the southeast and south-south, and elsewhere in Nigeria, are no longer talking about infrastructural development. They are now into economic empowerment. They are now into some other things. But we are still celebrating that we have done 50-kilometer road, 100-kilometer road. That shouldn't be the case. I am from Abia State, precisely. I grew up in Enugu, and I did my primary, secondary, and university education in Enugu. About 5-6 years ago, I had a program to attend at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium. I missed my way because of the massive infrastructural development. So many places I used to know, I couldn't recognize them when I got there. I had to start making calls to know where I was and to be able to locate the stadium. This was a place I could close my eyes some years back and I would get there. There were so many roads, that were not there when we grew up. But in Abia, I can bet you anyone who left here 40 years ago comes back, will be able to really locate their way. They won't see any major changes. So no massive transformation has taken place. Instead, what we have seen is a deterioration of what used to be. And sadly, even some roads that are done, beginning from the time we entered into the present democratic dispensation, will collapse before the end of the tenure of the governor who did it. And we have not had changes. It happened in the tenure of Ojus Okalo. It also repeated itself in the tenure of Etioche. And right now, we are having the same sad experience. A road will be done, and in the next 1-2 years, it's down. Look at Force Road, look at Abia Road, to mention a few. Then when it comes to power, that's one thing I think every Abian. What do Abians want? We don't even need much here. What we need is give us good road network, give us power. We have gone from fire pan to fire. Some people rarely would have light throughout the year. One may argue that it is not within the jurisdiction of the state government, but I know that in places where it works, somebody makes it work. In leadership, I think we have also not been that, I wouldn't want to say lucky, because I also want to believe in God. I believe everything rises and falls on leadership. And why some of us are particularly saddened and worried is that Abia has abundance of people who are mentally sound, have a number of professors locally and internationally, have a number of experts recognized worldwide. Why should we have this leadership gap? Why should we have this leadership deficiency? Because everything rises and falls on leadership.
Okay.
If it has to happen, there must be a leader who will make it happen.
Okay. Thank you very much. Professor Adiele, before I ask you about your assessment of Abia after 31 years, don't you think that it's unfair to compare Abia with a state with Enugu when you consider that Enugu has been the political capital of Southeast Nigeria for a very long time?
Well, I wouldn't think it's unfair because if you can compare Enugu with Abia of yesterday, what about Abia? There is nothing wrong. And I think the essence of governance or leadership, when most of them do most of these their travels and so on, is to go out there and learn a new thing and bring it down here. And the most painful aspect of the whole thing is that when we are talking about development, it's not as if the monies are not down. It's not as if these monies these people are asked to do it from their personal causes, but it is money owned as other states are given. That is how Abia State is also receiving their own. Then, what is the problem? Becomes the question. So back to the assessment of the state. Honestly, let us look at it as Abia State at 31, and let us compare it. Let it be a typology of a boy or a man who was born 31 years ago, and the age of maturity is 18 years. And if you are a father and you have a son at 31 and they still eating mama thank you, you've been able to do all the necessary things to make sure he goes to school and is down there, still living in the one room you gave to him when he was 15 until now that is 21, and you're seeing his mates doing far better. There is no how you'll be happy. Abia has a terrible setback. Abia has been back for quite a long time. Reverend said he didn't want to use the word unlucky. I think even if we should draw comparisons to that, I think Abia has been very, very unlucky. What are we even talking about? You ask yourself. That is why I agree with him that the importance of leadership. Look at when Mbakwe was the governor of Imo State. You are talking about, then it was 3 states in one. And all these 3 states, the Old Imo, Ebonyi, and Abia, they all felt his impact. The impact of his leadership is still there even as we speak. How many years ago? And then, at the point, Mbakwe was called a whipping governor. Why was he a whipping governor? Because he was always making sure that the dividends of democracy gets to his people. He was not, I don't know if you had visited his place in Obo, in Imo State.
I've been there.
He could. Mbakwe was not after himself. He wasn't after amassing a wealth. But go to any of the governors, even those who hadn't house before they entered, go and see what they have. You will begin to ask yourself, how many rooms will a person sleep in? And it's not just about the buildings, massive buildings in a particular compound. What about properties here and there? What about the money they carry out to go and save for generations unborn? And so Abia has been very, very unfortunate, and I think one of the major reasons is greed, selfishness, and egocentrism. That is exactly what has bedeviled Abia State. There is nothing to talk about. I was at Ebonyi 2 weeks ago. I am telling you, I slept there for 2 days. In the night, you will think you are overseas if you had visited there once. And this is Ebonyi of yesterday. We know how we used to refer to them then, even Akwa Ibom here. How many of the boys in Akwa Ibom, just like they were scattered all over here, you know, doing all these menial jobs and so on, how many of them are still here now? Go to you and see what we're talking about from Ekotebune here. So I don't know what to say about it, but it's unfortunate. While the late will take part of the blame, I think the leadership of the state will take 90% of the blame. Okay. Abia has not done well.
Okay. At all. Thank you very much. At this point, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, issues of the moment continues. Stay tuned.
Break, I will stand up.
to go. I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Many years after independence, we still find it hard to start. How long shall we be patient before we reach the promised land? Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria?
Welcome back to the program. This is Issues of the Moment, and on today's edition we are discussing Abia State at the age of 31. Like I said earlier before we went on that break, Abia State was created precisely on 27th August 1991. Another guest has joined us. He is Dr. Eugene Warhan. Dr. Warhan is a public affairs analyst. Dr. Warhan, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much. Viewers, welcome.
Yeah, Dr. Warhan, let me come to you. Now, we are talking about Abia State at 31. That's our conversation today. So, what is the assessment of Abia State after 31 years? Do you think that we are doing very well, or that we're on the wrong path?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and moderator. You have said, do you think we are doing well or we are on the wrong path? I don't think we are either doing well or that we are especially on the wrong path.
Okay, we're in between.
We are just in between. And the true position is that for me, we are not where we are supposed to be. And all of us are worried about the state of condition of Abia State. If you look at the development in other southeast states, let us not say Nigeria as a whole, but the 5 southeast states, it appears Abia State is number 5 on the ladder, rung of the ladder. So to answer your question, I don't think we are doing well. We're not where we are supposed to be, and everybody is thinking that we need to increase our pace to meet up with where we're supposed to be. Just one example, you know, in the recent past, the Abia State education-wise have been coming first, second in WAEC. But the last WAEC, Abia State came 10th position in the federation. So that will show you that we are not going down, no, we are not going up, and we are not even maintaining our present status. That is just one example.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, the Reverend Obike, at the age of 31, can we say that we have seen the Abia of our dreams? Can we say that for sure, with confidence?
Definitely not. We have not seen the Abia of our dream. Remember, we said that Abia was called the Gospel State. We expected massive transformation in almost every sector, given the abundance of both natural and human resources we have in the state. I'm a geologist by profession, and I know that Abia is highly endowed with a number of mineral resources ranging from oil to solid mineral, gas, and then agricultural wise, we have fertile land that should feed our people. So what is the problem? You know, Doc said we are neither here or there. But I think if we want to exclude the quality and be honest, we are somewhere. We are not just in the middle. We have failed. If at 31, a young man that should be able to read ABC to Z can only read ABC and cannot read MMO, neither can the person get to XYZ, there is a problem. I'm particularly saddened because we have abundance of human resources that should be able to transform our land. Other places that were looking up to us, we are now looking up to them. Prof talked about neighboring Akwa Ibom mines, all working here before, but now have all gone back to their place. That one is a good aspect of it. The worst aspect now is that as soon as people are settled here, 80% migrate to Akwa Ibom. Somebody made it that way. You see, when you talk about leadership, I see 3 levels of leadership. Number 1 level is what they call personal leadership, where somebody masters the art of leading himself. And then we have a second level, private leadership, where you learn the art of leading a close set of people, family members, maybe a group in the church, a society, a club. And then we look at the third level, public leadership, where somebody serves the public. We have a problem when somebody who is not good at personal leadership, has not tested the ground at private leadership, goes to lead the public. So there is a leadership gap. Leadership is not about the level or the number of degrees you have. It has to start with personal leadership. Are you satisfied as a person? What is your view about leadership? Are you trying to survive, or are you trying to, become significant? Think about posterity. Look at Mbakwe. Several years after he left the scene, we are still talking about him today. Now, some other people, several years after they left the scene, we are talking about recovering what they looted. And we are talking about looting on a massive scale. Some of our past leaders are now richer than the state. So something is terribly wrong. And I pray, we are in election season now. I pray we'll get it right in the next dispensation. So it's just like a child who did not prepare for JAM, and when the result comes, I say JAM failed me. JAM didn't fail anyone, you failed JAM. So I just pray we'll get it right this time around by choosing, not really along party lines. Things have changed. We should choose. It doesn't care, it doesn't matter where the party the person is coming from. We should choose somebody that has credibility, that has capacity, that is visionary, that is about, that's a transformational leader. You see, what is the difference between a transformational leader and a non-transformational leader? And that's where we have gotten it from. A transformational leader seeks the good of the people. A non-transformational leader seeks the good in the land of the people. And I think that is the problem we have.
Okay.
From the local government, I'm not looking at maybe governor now, from the local government, House of Assembly, to those in executive arms of the state, you see people at various levels grabbing. And look at somebody, the instance Prof gave. Mbakwe ruled 3 states put together as we have it today, and its impact and influence is felt everywhere. And there's nothing in his own. I was at Uru a few months ago for a burial, and when they showed me the house of Mbakwe, I couldn't believe it. Yes, I couldn't believe it. But you now see somebody that is not even a local government chairman, that is just a special advisor. He comes in. He was not able to buy a tricycle before he came into that position, and then he comes into that position. He's traveling out of the country now and then he has a jet. It's a problem.
Okay, thank you, and the Reverend Obik. Now, Professor Adiele, do you agree that we have failed in all facets of the Abia economy? Or are there areas you think that we have done well?
Well, we've not failed in all facets of Abia as a state. I wouldn't want to say we have failed, because areas we've done very well is our leaders can never be poor again. So that is one aspect. So we have not failed woefully. And those of them who we are managing are no more managing. The definition of democracy is redefined in Abia State. Government of the few, by the few, and for the sycophants who believe, who pressing for them. And it is it is quite unfortunate. I don't see the area, and I don't know the area we'll talk about. You are an Abian, all of us are Abians here. You know, some years back, even in that 1991, the Abia textile mill was still functional. We had the Golden Gate breweries, we had modern ceramics, we have international equitable. Where are they today? And good. We had all these things, and the idea of criminal activities, kidnapping, and so on was not there. I know you must always have criminals in the society, but it wasn't as rampant as at the time Reverend mentioned. It wasn't that way. And then, yet we've been having leaders. The first thing they do, I look at Obi, talking about the only house he has, is the one he has in Onitsha. That has no house, not in Abuja. But there is no governor, even local government chairman that had left this state that has no house in Abuja.
Houses.
Houses in Asokoro, and so on. The problem is that we don't have leadership. We only have stomach leaders. People who only come to make money for themselves and their family. And if you don't pressing for them, they don't accept constructive criticism. They don't accept any form of criticism. In the moment, except you are praising them, that is when you will be in their good book. And for God's sake, what we're talking about is that, like the Athens, when they want to define, politics and leadership, they say it is fairness, democracy is fairness, equity, and justice. And to make sure that those who are there in the state, it's just like when we talk about pastors, because what we're talking about is everywhere. It has even gone into the churches. The moment you get into a position, and then you don't think about any other thing. Even as we speak, some of the pastors are our problem, because all these leaders, they belong to a particular church, and they go to the church to give thanksgiving. Look at what happened there. Was it in Calabar? Ayade went to a church. At the end of the day, made a donation. What did the priest do?
Of 25 million.
Of 25 million. He said, thank you for your benevolence.
It was rejected.
But take this money and go and help in making sure that the workers are paid. How many bishops can do it here? How many pastors can do it here? But instead, the pastors will now pray for you, and the moment you begin to visit that church, whether you come to church or not, there will be a particular seat kept for you as a governor.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Dr. Wong, yes, we have all agreed that we are not doing very well, and it's a problem of leadership. Now, I'm not holding brief for the present administration, but don't you think that Governor Kezi has gone better when you compare it with past administrations that ruled the state from 1999 to 2015? Because he said that in his broadcast to Abians, that was on Saturday, he said that his administration has constructed 150 roads across Abia, and 48 others are still ongoing. So don't you think that this administration has done better, more than others we have in Abia?
Yes, there are areas, to be fair to the present administration, there are areas where they have made a mark. Like you mentioned roads now. We can see some of the roads, and for the first time, the government is constructing roads with some drainages. Roads in Abia have been under construction right from the days of Ojos of Camp. Well, what happens is that the moment these roads are completed, so to say, the next rainy season, they are washed away. So nobody will say that Oji didn't construct roads. He did. He did. But what they call Dubai roads,
exactly.
Those roads were washed away, and it was as if the roads were never there. So that's one area which we can give credit to the government. They have started with roads, and we don't know how long these roads will last now. For example, Fox Road, have been washed away, and they are now reconstructing it. Secondly, the government has improved some of the infrastructure in schools. There are some school buildings that have been renovated, which we can see. Except that the teachers are not being paid. That's the area that is making it look as if nothing is being done in education. You know that without the teachers being there, even the structures will have no meaning. Because most of the students will still be running away to private schools, no matter how bad they are. So we can give credit to the government on those, we can give credit on the infrastructure in the schools. That's, I mean, primary and secondary schools. So I think basically that is the two areas I can say we can visibly see the impact of government infrastructure-wise. We have seen some programs on empowerment to some individuals, very few of them. We can also give credit to the government on that. But put together, these little milestones you have mentioned does not satisfy the people. The people have greater expectations from government. And these expectations are not being met. That is why there seems to be discomfort among the populace. That is why even those who are running for government, people are saying, is it this person that brought you out? If it is this person, they are not looking at the new individual contesting the election. They are looking at who brought him out. If it is still from this source, we may not take him. So you are not running an election that based on your capacity or competence. You are running an election on who brought you out and who didn't bring you out. So for me, I think the incoming government, what we should be looking at now is the way forward, because this administration is winding down. So it's almost out of the place. Because elections are maybe 4 or 5 months in February, and in May they are out of the place. What I want Abians to think about is now, what can we do to bring a competent leadership, to bring somebody who can turn the state like a state. I had pointed out the recent nature of Ebonyi State. Why don't we understand what happened in Ebonyi State? How did Dave Umahi turn this place down? So that we can present this type of picture to the new man coming in. I heard the man took some loans with cooperation of the federal government. If that is what is used to transform the state, why don't we follow the same approach? Because it appears that nothing can be achieved in Nigeria or in without loans. So if you take loans and use it wisely, meaningfully, like it has been done in Ebonyi.
You should also ask, is Abia not indebted?
Yes, we have seen the debt profile. Yeah, one of the contestants brought the debt profile to our knowledge. So the debt profile is also.
I think we have a problem with accountability.
Okay, and Reverend OPK, before you come in, let me say this. At this point, we are going to open our telephone line so that you can join us in this interesting conversation. You can reach us on 091-6828-4994. 091-6828-4994. You can continue.
Okay, I was talking about accountability. A scenario where people come in and they get involved in this massive looting of people's treasury, and no one talks about it, or you talk about it, you change from one party to the ruling party, and you're set free. I think that scenario has to be checkmated. The truth, let it be told. Even in the area of the sector of education, you know, look at other places. Go to Anambra State, for instance. The issue of private school is a secondary thing. The key thing in Anambra State is public school. Somebody made it. It was not so until somebody came to power. Anambra State was, I think, about 26th. But now, they have constantly occupied the first position. Abia State worked themselves up to first 2-3. But right now, I have not even seen this analysis. Doc is saying we are at number 10.
Yes.
And now I'm going to think about it. Look at what is happening in Abia State Polytechnic. It's unacceptable. People are working for 36, 38 months. They are not paid. And we have been deaccredited. So nothing serious is happening there now. Look at what is happening in Abia State University. Our prestigious medical school is no longer there. That means Abia students who wish to study medicine in Abia State University will not have the opportunity to go to Abia State University. So applying elsewhere means they will not be treated as indigents. And before you know it, we start having a gap there. So we need to really rise up. Okay, the thing that goes for us in Abia, entrepreneurship, you know, where we have Abba in those days referred to as the Japan of Africa.
Yes.
Can we say today that Abba is the Japan of Africa? All our industries, go to Osisioma, that used to be an industrial layout. All the industries have collapsed. Our young people can no longer get work. You know, so many terrible things happening. As a pastor, I realize that the moment we raise people and they graduate, 98% leave Abia State. And it's a terrible thing. Very terrible. Because we're having mediocres now, you know, at the various sectors of the economy. While other states, what are they doing? What we're looking for is here. And they should not be running away. But our people are running away from here. So please, the people must rise. If it is a revolution, let there be a revolution. If it is a demonstration, let there be demonstration. But people should be able to rise up and demand what belongs to them. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And I don't know how we can do well economically when those in government are not paid. Of course, you now know how much that is happening. Then when we think about the IPOB position of sit at home on Monday, that one is a different thing altogether. But at least thank God, in Abia State, I can also give a credit that we have not had the level of stories we have from other places, you know. But for me, it is like taking poison and wanting another person to die from that poison.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Professor Adiele, we have been blaming the government for the sorry state of affairs in Abia. Don't you think that the people should also share in the blame?
Somehow, yes. Like I said, 90% on the government and 10% on the individuals. Why would the government have up to 90%? Because when you talk about allocations, internal generated revenue, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. They are the people who are in charge of our finances. And they are also the people who decide what they do with these finances. The only area you blame some people, it is also because of the type of character the government, the type of character they put out. That is also what has led to the bad influence of also those who work with them. Take for instance, if a commissioner is appointed from my area, it is expected that commissioner will help others. And then, because these commissioners are not appointed from a particular zone, it spreads across the entire 17 local governments of the state. But when these commissioners or any person that sees themselves in power, even the common councillor will even tell you how to address it. That is no more ordinary. And then talk about the local government chairman. The moment they become, the entire thing changes. And the moment they see themselves in these positions, they become another god. And because the governor himself has seen himself as a super god, so these other ones are now demigods. They now want you to worship them. You discover that during campaigns, you see them in open vehicles. Some will stoop as low as eating with the cripple when they are looking for votes. But the moment they are sworn in, they now use tinted glasses. Tinted glasses because, one, they know they cannot fulfill the promises they made. people say it's security. I don't see it as security. I see it as shame, because they now become very shameful because they can look at you eyeball to eyeball and you won't see them there. Because if they are passing with their tinted glasses, assuming they were not tinted glasses, you can always say, campaign every guy. Remember what you told us. Remember the promises you made. They can't keep it. So you give partly to government and also to some people, because the government may have thought it right to make sure that these appointments are spread all over, PAs, SAs, and so on. But I heard in this state that a particular person is given about 20 slots of SAs and 30 slots of PAs and so on, a particular person. So it is at its will to call out. And the problem also we have is that most of the things they do is political compensation. They just call people, those who shouted for them during the campaign. For God's sake, the moment you become a governor of the state, you become the father of the state. It doesn't really matter whether A voted you or B voted you. You now become the father of the entire state. So for this level of political compensation is what is taking us down, and it is very, very wrong. Just like we were talking about unemployment and so on. Why wouldn't there be criminality around? Though there is no excuse for criminal activities. But look at the Nyimba hotels here. What will it take to make it functional? The one Mbakwe did. What of international glass industry? We've talked about the other old ones. What about the ones Mbakwe put in place? What will it take a governor to make sure that these ones are functional? The other time in international glass industry, a friend of mine took me there. And one of the states now use it to dump price they share during their campaigns and so on. These things are wrong. And it's not as if these people are, do I say they are insensitive? Do I say they are insensitive to the problem of the people? No work anyway. And yet we have companies that are supposed to accommodate these people, and nothing is happening. What is then? Why are you vying for this thing? That's why I told us last time. It is not all about campaigning and talking about what to do. We should look inwards this time. We should look inwards. And most of them who have been there, just because maybe they were not given ticket and they ran away, they want to become a saint. When you were there, what did you do? While you were with the present administration, you were hailing him. Now, because they didn't give you ticket, because you've seen the way he's making his own money, and you want to go and make your own money, not because you want to change the situation, not because you want to change the narrative. These are the things we should be looking at.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Dr. Waha, we are approaching another election year, 2023. What type of governor do we need in next year's election, when you consider the challenges facing Abia today?
It's not only in Abia State. Generally, we need a new leadership that can think out of the box, because from the way things are, allocation from federal government is bound to be going down. So each state, Abia State inclusive, must look inwards to see how the IGR could be improved. And we have made suggestions to the candidates who are running for this election, as we have seen them, all of them. But we are not sure who will win. So when we see them, we tell them, we have to look at our agriculture. We have to look at poultry production. Because we are talking of the cost of cows and the problem, there's the ogwe, something chicken there at Opa. Why don't we look inside inwards to look at the ogwe, instead of establishing a cattle market at Opa? Why don't we revive the ogwe chicken? Yes. Why don't we partner with the federal government to see how we can finish the construction of the Enugu Port Harcourt? That is the Abia Port Harcourt axis. Yes. To open up Port Harcourt. Because there's something you can do. I just say it's landlord. You need to open up to the sea. You need to open up to Akwa Ibom. You need to open up to Calabar and see that those roads are open. So the new governor should, incoming governor, should make sure that the Abia Port Harcourt Express Road, that axis is open so that people can quickly run to Port Harcourt and come back. People from Port Harcourt can quickly run to Abia and come back. Then a strategic road like Port Harcourt Road, no matter what it costs, should be completed because it is the exit from a city like Abia. So roads now, education, we have to look at how we are going to revive the schools. I'm happy that the accreditation of Abia Poly was restored.
Yes.
Now, we have to follow it up from there to ensure that we don't go back to Egypt in respect to that college. Then at the same time, we have to work on the loss of accreditation for the medical school, which the man of God pointed out here. That school, Abia State University has to come up. Primary schools, primary education has to be revived. Like he said, in Anambra, somebody, other than Badibuju to mention specifically, Anambra students did not write for 2 years. But the people came in Giga and all the rest of them and restored back public confidence in public schools. That has to happen in Abia State. But right now, even the teachers who are teaching in the public school take their children to private schools. You know, that is a loss.
Then in that case, they don't have confidence in the system. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there's nothing is happening in the system. And you take their child to the backyard for the same level of education.
It's not only the teachers, even the government, all the government, senators and so on.
Is to tell you how I mean, at the primary.
Yes, yes.
None of the teachers teaching in primary school today in Abia State have their child or children in that primary school. So the situation is as bad as that. So the new government should look at the resources. The man of God said is a geologist. We have even stone quarry. One of the things that is giving Abia State money today is stone, quarrying stone. Because one of the governorship contestants told us that he has a quarry in Abia State and that he knows how much he's paying for just the stone. The stone is not something that you manufacture from the blue.
It's a natural resource.
It's a natural resource. What it requires is the dynamite to blow it up and crush it. So this contestant goes to Abia State to bring the stone to do the roads. That he was telling us that the stone alone can give a lot of money.
We have the abundance of sandstone here.
Yes.
That's
which can be explored.
Red mud.
So it is this direction that the new governor should be thinking about. How do we raise more money? Then if we raise that money, how do we ensure that it doesn't go into corruption?
That's it.
We need to block the wastages. The kind of money that government is using to run is so high. Go to the Abia State website. About 29 million will be used for entertainment. It's just there, not
exaggerated.
So we need to cut down on expenses. We need to cut down on the flights taken by government officials to visit Abuja, to visit London, to visit all these places. These are wastages for a state that is poor.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, at the Reverend Obike, where do you want Abia to be in the next 10 years? I want you to be brief.
Okay, while listening to Governor, His Excellency Oketi Bazo during the 31st anniversary celebration, he talked about a roadmap that they are putting in place, I think, for the next 10 years. Of course, the details of that roadmap is not made known, but government is a continuum. So how I wish the details are there, and how I wish also the detail was arrived. Look at what happened in Anambra State. As soon as Soludo came in, he brought Nigerians from within and outside the state. Those who had the expertise, technical knowledge, and they came together and they charted the course, and they are now following that course. How I wish the roadmap was brought together by not people who have corrupt mind, but people who have this state, in the interest of their mind. And taking a cue from the past, but the past is always a key to the present. We fared well in the area of commerce. Before now, people came from Cameroon, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Enugu, Onitsha, Owerri, Ebonyi State to buy things from here. But just because of the decay in infrastructure, road infrastructure, they are no longer coming. We need to quickly work on that. We need to fix our roads so that those things that made about the giants of in other cities in Nigeria should be in place. And then agriculture is another area where young people should be encouraged to look into. We are talking about, organic farming now. We have a number of things here that can help our young people do well. Doc mentioned about poultry. I'm looking at a situation where an incoming government should be able to have a template on how to do poultry farming. By the way, people like us, I'm also involved in livestock. I have poultry farm, I have fish farm, and I've never developed templates that help us. In 5 weeks, for instance, we're already rearing birds and getting it into the market. Now, if we have up to 5,000 Abians from different local governments, for 17 local governments, touch these things and provided with solved, seed capitals, I'm telling you that a lot will happen there. Rice, we have some places that you can cultivate rice. In fact, right now, all over the world, no one is talking about seasonal farming again. It's a continuous thing.
All around the year.
All around the year. We can make it available. We have water. So the truth is that, please, I want to speak to our people. Come 2023, forget about party politics, forget about 5,000, 2,000. These things wouldn't make a meaning. Let's look for a candidate that has demonstrated that who is a leader, one who knows the way, has gone through the way, and is able to take people there. So when we get somebody who has succeeded before now in managing his personal, enterprise and then public enterprise, then we can trust that person with our collective resources. So we need somebody that is credible, we need somebody that has capacity, we need somebody that is not about the people's goal, but it's about the people's good. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in the scene now. Let the best. Let's forget about where the person is coming from. Even though along that the fathers of Abia State, there was an equity arrangement where this thing can come from here and next time it moves there, it's like it's in jettison. And those are really, the Bible says when the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? My answer is nothing much. Just lay that foundation. Okay, so if we come to this level now where it can come from any source, please let the best. I appeal to our people. I appeal to fellow clergy people. We allow politicians come to our churches, make donations, and we clap for them. Nigeria is going from that place. Let's look for a candidate. And to transform the state wouldn't take 10 years. Somebody who knows his onions can do that even in 2 years.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, the last but not the least, Professor Chineduma Dele, where do you want Abia to be in the next 10 years? I want you to be brief also.
Well, talking about where Abia will be, we should be talking about the Abia of our dream. And then, what is the Abia of our dreams? The idea that I mentioned, there are a lot of industries in this state that would give our people employment. Somebody mentioned, either Doc or Reverend talked about the percentage of our graduates and how they leave the state after graduating. And then that is too bad. God has blessed this state. I don't pray like others pray and say, God help Abia State. God has helped Abia State. God has given Abia what it wants. Even the entire nation, God has blessed us. But unfortunately, we have people who do not want to understand the handwork of God. People who are after themselves. When the Bible talks about loving thy neighbor as thyself, our leaders don't seem to understand that. We are looking for an Abia where the road network will be wonderfully superb. Just like immediately after Mbakwe. This Fox Road was almost named after Mbakwe. This Fox Road we're talking about. And if you look at from 7 Up area to International Glass Industry, that road, I'm not sure anybody has touched it. It was the one Mbakwe built since then, as we speak. And then look at this Enyimba city. What is holding about textile bag? What is holding it back? What about international equitable? These are industries that are here, and all these money wastages. I was listening to Peter B the other day. He talked about how he had to cut down on his entourage, and even the number of people that follows him to travel. But that when they go to Abuja, they say he's going to sleep in a hotel in a room of 250,000 a night. He was asking himself, if he sleeps in such a room, how can he close his eyes and sleep in such a place? But this is the kind of luxury our people do. You are making a trip. You are the only one invited to come to Abuja. You have about 40 other persons. What would they be doing there? I'm not talking about your security details. What would they be doing there? At the end of the day, the thing falls back on us. It tells on us. If you look at the way things are. So we are looking for a man, a selfless leader that will consider all these wastages and know that it has not done Abia good since 31 years ago. We've been crawling. There's a situation you find yourself as a father. The child you have put in so much, sent to school, he couldn't go to school, learn a trade, he couldn't learn a trade, and so on. We've been looking for a way to either kill the boy and get away and answer fatherless. That is the situation we've seen ourselves in Abia. But I know that it is not entirely bad. If by tomorrow we are able to get a good leader who understands all this, who has not come, the problem we have here is arrogance is so much on the leaders of this state. Any person that gets in there does not want to see the other, sees every other person as a fool. And don't take advices. There was one man in my place who had an upstairs, the first upstairs we had in my place. If you come to advise him, once you don't have an upstairs, he will tell you, if your idea is as beautiful as you want to tell me, why don't you have an upstairs? And that's some of the things that happen in this state. So it is important we look inwards. Let us be real Christians. And also, God will always be there. The Bible says, when the righteous is on the throne, the people will rejoice. And what is God talking? The people who will also follow the dictates, not just go to church. Our leaders go to church. They don't have godliness in them. That is the problem we have. And I know, as soon as God delivers us from this, He's ready. He has given us everything. But we are now looking inwards to know a leader that will implement all these things for Abia to remain where it's supposed to be.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Chinedum Adele. And on that note, we have come to the end of today's edition of our current affairs program, Issues of the Moment. For the past 15 minutes, we have been discussing Abia State at 31, the journey so far. And their submission is that we are not doing very well and everything borders on leadership. And they are saying by next year, let us pray so that we can use our PVC very wisely and vote for the candidate of our choice. And I want to thank my three discussants, Dr. Eugene Wohan, the Reverend Obike, and of course, Professor Chinedum Adele. Gentlemen, thank you for coming to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And my name is Chimezion Zems. I also want to thank you for investing your time in watching today's edition of our program. Join us on Friday for another interesting package. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for other programs on this very beautiful Living TV channel.
I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Many years after independence, we still find it hard to start. How long shall we be patient before we reach the promised land? Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Tell me which way to go. I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Every little thing that goes wrong, we start to blame the government. We know everything that goes wrong because we are part of the government. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Tell me which way to go. Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Inefficiency and indiscipline is ruining the country now. Corruption here, there, and everywhere. Inflation is soaring high. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh, sure, sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to. We made mistakes during the oil boom, not knowing that was our doom. Some people now have everything, while many, many have nothing. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't fall. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to. Green revolution is a reality. Let's give it a chance to grow. Let's join our hands to farm the land so we can have enough food to show. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to. Our ambition to be millionaires is running the country down. We all want to be millionaires and to live in the air. Oh, let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, we want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to. Remember that a simple step is the beginning of a million miles. Let's start right now to repeat ourselves so as to make the country smile. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Heaven and earth will pass away. It is written in the book of God. The good people will surely find their ways, and the meek will inherit the world. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't fall. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. We want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to. Which way Nigeria? Which way Amen.